Okay, once again, good evening to all of you. Shall we
Evening,
start?
sir.
Am I audible and visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fine. So in the last class, we have discussed about the fiscal policies and the role of fiscal policy in the economic growth and in controlling the inflation and economy. So today we are going to discuss one of the important aspects of the fiscal policy, that is government budget. So we have seen that in last class that government budget is a document which reflects the fiscal policies of the government. And the fiscal policies, nothing but what you can say the policies related to government taxation as well as the government expenditure, like on which activities the government is going to impose the taxes, and after collecting that taxes, where the government is going to spend that money. That is what is called as the government budget, right? So we will be discussing the different components, and again how the government budget is created, why the budget is created, and we will also discuss about the important objectives of the government budget. Okay? So let's share the screen with you, the presentation. So just give me a minute.
Hello.
Please mute yourself, all of you. Is the screen visible to all of you? Can you all see the screen? Hello?
No, sir.
It's getting downloaded. So just 2 minutes.
Load.
Now.
Okay, is it visible now, Chandrasekhar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's visible, right? So please mute yourself now. Otherwise, I have to mute you all. Fine. So today we are going to discuss about the process of government budgeting, right? So I'm not going to discuss government budget, but I'm going to discuss the government budgeting. Budgeting means the process of making the government budget. Like in paper 3, UPSC General Studies paper 3, there is one more important topic is there in the paper 3, that is called as government budgeting. So once you understand how the government budget is created, or how the government budgets are what you can say made, then you will also understand this year's government budget. So once you understand the concept of government budgeting, what are the different elements of the government budget, then what are the different objectives of the government budget, then you will be understand the government budget of the previous year. So I have already discussed the government budget of 2019-20. So it may be uploaded on the portal. So you can see that government budget discussion of me. But before that, we need to clear our concepts related to government budgeting, right? So here the term is ING, like government budget and government budgeting. Government budgeting means the process of making the government budget. Fine. So now we can say that government of India budget. We are going to focus more on the budget of the government of India. A government budget is an annual financial statement showing item-wise estimates of expected revenue and an anticipated expenditure during the fiscal year. So we know that every government, every year, it gives a statement, like we have seen in the last class, that as per Article 112 of the Indian Constitution, it is important to get the approval of the Parliament to, what you can say, that to pass the budget in the Parliament. So the government budget is an annual financial statement showing item-wise estimations of expected revenue. So what is government's expected revenue and what is anticipated expenditure, that where the government is going to spend that money, that is the statement is what you can say produced in front of the Parliament, and that is what is called as the government of India budget. Second, just as our household budget is all about that what you earn and what we spend. So government budget is nothing but what you from where the government is going to receive the money and where the government is going to spend the money. So a statement of both, that is from where the government is going to receive the money and from where the government is going to spend the money, that is what is a government budget. So similarly, like we have our budget of house, similarly government also have a budget. One gives an income, what you can say, the statement, and another gives the expenditure statement, right? So now the government budget is normally for a fiscal year. Fiscal year means what? One particular financial year is called as fiscal year. So in the beginning of every year, government presents before the Lok Sabha an estimate of its an estimates of what you can say is the receipts, and an estimates of what you can say its expenditure, right? So here you can see that in the every year the government has to what we can say make a budget, and it has to what we can say present in front of the government, right? So now can anybody tell me, like for example, suppose if I want to what we can say make a budget of our household, like my household, so what shall I do? Like first I should what we can say find out the estimates of expenditure, or first I should find out the estimation of the expenditure. Like normally at our home what we do, like we first make the estimation of expenditure, or first we make the estimation of what we can say the income. Like if I want to make a budget of my house, so first what will I what you can say check it out, whether I'll check it out first the expenditure or the income of my family.
It's income.
First we'll try to what we can say, first we'll try to find out the income of our family, and on the basis of that income we make an expenditure plan, right? So what do you think, the government should make in the same way, or it should be in a reverse way? Shall we first what we can say make the list of the expenditure, and then shall we try to increase our income, or shall we first like make the plan of the, shall we first make the plan of the check it out what is our income, and then we should make the expenditure? What should be the ideal way?
See, it should be first income and then expenditure.
No, first should be the expenditure, and I feel then should be the income.
But why we at house, like why we at
Then
house?
it should be the expenditure.
So
It
pehle,
should be the expenditure.
but normally ideally what we do, first we estimate the income, and then we what you can say as per the income we try to make our expenditure, right?
Yeah. In home we first estimate our income, then expenditure. But in country budget or in the budgeting process, we estimate our expenditure, because expenditures are something which many expenditures are something which we cannot avoid, like salary, pension, interest, subsidies, and all these things. So I think expenditure are first estimates.
So why can't we go for the same at our household budget? What do you think? Is it not a good idea that
Because
we should
our
try to-
expenditure is not rigid. We can change it accordingly.
Yeah.
According
In
to
country, in household, we don't need to pay someone. So whatever we earn, we have to budget our expenditure within that income only.
But why don't
Because
we try to increase the income then? Like first we should make a list of what you can say expenditure, and as per expenditure we should try to what you can say increase our income.
no, for in a family, we have a limited options of in earning income. So
But there is a room, right? We can try to increase our income. If we limit ourselves that what is our expenditure within the what you can say the income of our what you can say family, then we may not be able to increase what you can say the GDP of our family. Then you're getting my question.
So I feel for the
India,
house,
normal, yes.
the-
1 second.
for the house, I feel our income is like fixed. So that's why we consider that perspective. But for a country, the how much we are earning, it's not fixed. It depends on the lot of factors. Like
Right.
there can be a possibility that the revenue generated is comparatively less than the previous year.
Right.
It's very unpredictable.
But we can
We know how much
apply it
salary
at
we
our
are
home also, right? That is what I was trying to say, that we can apply it at our household budget also. Like first make a what you can say make the list of the expenditure, and if our expenditure is, for example, suppose 1 lakh rupees per month, then why don't we try? Like suppose my income is around 80,000 rupees. Right? So shall I reduce my expenditure, or shall I try to increase my income by 20,000?
Reducing the expenditure.
We should, like, because हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में क्या होता है, like जितनी चादर होती है उतने पैर फैलाना चाहिए, right? We normally do that, like, because in India is a saving economy. What happens in India, normally we have a tendency, we have a mentality that we should what we can say spend that much only, जितना हमारा इनकम है उतना ही हमको खर्चा करना चाहिए, ऐसे हमारी एक मेंटालिटी होती है. बट इफ यू गो टू द कंट्रीज लाइक द डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमीज लाइक यूएसए और many European countries, they first make a plan of expenditure and then they try to increase their income, and that is why they always increase their income. But anyways, coming back to the government budget, so we can say that in the beginning of every year the government presents the what you can say budget in front of the Lok Sabha, and estimates of receipts as well as an estimates of what you can say the expenditure for the coming financial. Can you please mute yourself? Okay. So in the beginning of every year, government presents before the Lok Sabha an estimate of receipts as well as expenditure. So you need to remember one thing, that the government budget is always a futuristic one. Futuristic one means what? What is going to happen in the coming year? That is what is a budget. So it is not necessary that everything which is being estimated in the government budget can be what you can say can achieve the target of the government budget, right? So please, can you erase it out, those who have what you can say marked it? I don't understand why you people do such what you can say silly things. You are aspirant of UPSC and you are like doing such things. It is not like becoming an IS aspirant. Every time I have to tell this to you. Okay. So here you can see that I was telling you that government budget is a futuristic one, which has a target, like this year I am going to receive this much income, and this year I am going to what you can say spend this much money. That is for the government. So it is not necessary that those target will be met. So it may be necessary that whatever the revenue target I has for this upcoming year, it is not met, and also we may not be able to what you can say achieve the target of expenditure. But anyways, we have to make an estimation of receipts as well as what you can say the expenditure. So what are the terms related to that? If we do not achieve those targets, that I am going to discuss in the next session. Different terms related to the government budget I am going to discuss in the next session. So the process of government budgeting is that the government plans expenditure according to its objectives and then tries to raise resources to meet the proposed expenditure. It's a reverse way, right? Reverse means what? First, government makes a plan of expenditure that I am going to spend this money on this what you can say the activities. So in my last session, I told you there is one department under the Ministry of Finance which what you can say makes the plans of the expenditure before the budget is presented. Anyone remember which one is that department which has a
Department of Expenditure.
Yeah. So under the Finance Ministry there are various departments. So out of that, Department of Expenditure has a responsibility of making the plan of what you can say the expenditure. So what this Department of Expenditure do? Like for example, now anyone knows in which year the budget is normally presented in the Lok Sabha nowadays? In which month the budget is presented?
February 1st. February 1st.
February 1st. So last 4-5 years, when the new government, that is the Modi government, has come to power, they have shifted the presentation of the budget month. Earlier, it used to be presented in the month of what you can say February, but now they have shifted
the last week of February.
Yeah, last week of February, but now they are what you can say shifted 1 month before what you can say the February. So what is the pros and cons, whether we should do that or not do that, that we will discuss later on. But anyways, so the budget, before the budget is actually presented in the house, so before that 3-4 months, the budget, the Department of Expenditure calls what you can say, takes estimation from each and every department of the government. Like Department of Defense, Department of Health, Department of Forest, Department of Home, Department of various what you can say the government departments. So they take an estimation that what is going to be the expenditure for your department for upcoming year. So they make a plan of what? They make a plan of expenditure, and accordingly they tries to raise the resources. So first, government what you can say make an estimation of the expenditure that we are going to spend like 1 lakh crore rupees, like combined expenditure of all the government scheme, all the expenditure of the government, that we are going to discuss. What are the various components of the government expenditure, that also we are going to discuss. But first they make a plan of expenditure and then they tries to raise the resources to meet the proposed expenditure, right? So the budget requires to be approved by the parliament or assembly. Like in case of state government, it has to be ratified or it has to be passed by the state legislative assemblies. And in case of union government budget, it has to be passed by the parliament. And as we all know, that since government budget or annual financial statement is a money bill, it should have to be passed by the Lok Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha can only give the suggestions. There is no power of voting to the Rajya Sabha for passing the budget. So that is a political aspect, that is a polity system. That when we will be discussing the polity, you will come to know that how the annual financial statement is passed in the parliament. But here you need to know that budget needs to be approved by Lok Sabha in case of union government, and it has to be approved by the Legislative Assembly in case of state government. So the budget is the most important information document of the government, because government implements its plans and expenditure through the budget. Got it? So whenever the budget comes after every year, it gives an idea that where the government is going to, what you can say, where the government is going to spend the money, and from where the government is going to, what you can say, run their businesses. That is what is a very, very important, what you can say, the document. Now going to the next important point, that is what are the objectives of the government budget. So we need to keep in mind that the rapid and balanced economic growth with equality and social justice has been general objective of all our policies and plans. So important objective of the government budget is that government budget should keep in mind that we should have a rapid growth of the economy. Not only rapid growth, along with growth, we need to have a balanced economic growth. Balanced economic growth means what? That it should be balanced, all that regional balance, as well as what we can say the social balance. Like we need to focus more on those, what you can say, the section of the society which are vulnerable, which are what you can say more, what you can say, the poor who need poor. We need to make policies which can fulfill the needs of those, what you can say, vulnerable sections of the society. So equality and social justice has been the general objective of all our policies and plans. So general objectives of the government budgets are as under. First is economic growth. So as we know that economic growth means what? GDP of the country. And the government budget makes a plan that how the GDP of the country can be increased. So to increase the GDP, we know that there shall be a optimum utilization of the resources, that is the human resources, then capital resources and material resources, right? Adesh Kumar, can you please mute yourself? Okay. So to promote rapid and balanced economic growth, so as to improve the living standard of the people, of growth implies sustained increase in real GDP of the economy. So what is real GDP? That we have already discussed in my earlier classes. So the important objective of the government budget is to promote and increase the real GDP in a sustained increase in value and the goods and services. And again, the public welfare is the main guide for the government budget. Now going to the next point, that is reduction of poverty and unemployment. So one of the important objective of the government budget is to reduce poverty. That is what you can say, again, to increase the income of the people and to reduce unemployment. So the budget policy tries to increase the employment rate in the economy. How it does that, we are going to discuss in detail, that how the various components of the government budget leads to reduction in the poverty and it leads to increase in the employment, that we are going to discuss in detail. But one of the important objectives of the government budget is to eradicate mass poverty. And we know that in India, we have what you can say mass poverty and unemployment by creating employment opportunities and providing maximum social benefits to the poor. In fact, social welfare is the single most important objective of the government budget. Every Indian should be able to meet his basic needs like food, clothing, housing, along with the decent health care and educational facilities. So this is the second objective of the government budget. Third objective is reduction of inequalities and redistribution of income. So we know all that when India got independence in 1947, India was socially as well as economically unequal country, right? Socially and economically unequal country means what? There was social inequality as well as there was economic inequality. Means all the economic resources of the country are not what you can say equally distributed. So it is the responsibility of the government budget, government while making a policy in the government budget, that those who have high income, their income should be taken from them and it should be distributed to the, what you can say, the vulnerable section of those who are poor. So to reduce inequality, this is again one of the important, what you can say, the DPSP of the Constitution of India. We have seen that in the DPSP article 39 says that the government shall make such policies which will create a equal distribution of all economic resources among the citizens of India. So to reduce inequalities of income and wealth, government can influence the distribution of income through levying taxes and granting subsidies. That we know, like those who have high income, on them government impose taxes, those who have low income, for them government gives various types of subsidies. Like for example, we have seen that there is a food subsidy, there is a fertilizer subsidy, there is what you can say the LPG gas subsidy, right? So there are various types of subsidies are given to those people who have low income, and the taxes are taken from those people who have high income. So in this way, the government budget tries to reduce inequalities and redistribute the income. Government levies high tax rate for rich people and reducing their disposable income, and lowers the rate on lower income group. Right. So we are going to discuss. This is called as progressive type of taxation system. I'm going to discuss about it in detail. What is the progressive type of taxation system while discussing the taxation. Now, next important point of the objective of the government budget is that the government provides subsidies and amenities to people whose income level is low. Again, public expenditure can be useful in reducing inequalities. More emphasis is laid on equitable distribution of wealth and income. Economic progress in itself is not sufficient goal, but the goal must be equitable progress. Got it? So only increase in the GDP is not the single, what I can say, the goal. Apart from this, that the benefits of the economic growth needs to be reached to each and every section of the society, and that is what is called as inclusive growth, or that is what is called as sabka saath sabka vikas. All right. Okay. Now, second is redistribution of income. So redistribution of income is, we have already discussed about it. Going to the next point is, that is reallocation of resources. So as we have told you in my first class also, that key important objective of the economic planning is of utilization of the resources optimally. So we know that there are three types of resources: material resource, then capital resource, and human resource. So the government budget tries to, what you can say, reallocate the resources in an optimum way. So we know here that the reallocate resources so as to achieve the social and economic objective. The government provides more resources into socially productive sectors, while private sector initiative is not forthcoming. So here we can say that public sanitation, rural electrification, education, health, etc. So we have seen that India is a mixed type of economy, and in mixed type of economy, some of the goods and services are provided by the government, and some of the economic services are provided by the private sector. So government tries to provide some of the goods and services which cannot be affordable, which are not affordable to some section of the society. So that is why government allocates more funds to protection of socially useful goods like khadi, and draws away resources from some other areas to promote balanced economic growth of regions. In addition, government undertakes directly whenever required. So next important point, important objective of the government budget is to price stability and economic stability. So we have seen that the supply side of the inflation is taken care of the fiscal policies. So if there are any problems in the supply side, the government budget makes sure that the supply side problem can be, what you can say, solved by the policies, or by the, what you can say, the, by some of the, what you can say, the decision taken in the government budget. Second is financing and management of public enterprises. So we know there are public enterprises which provide goods and services, like Food Corporation of India, Indian Railway, then Indian Oil, like we have seen ONGC. There are various government, what you can say, the companies, and these government companies need some finances, and these government enterprises are financed through the government budget. Right. Now going to the next. Now today I'm going to discuss in detail about, this is very, very important part which I am going to discuss with you all, that is various components of the government budget. Fine. So the government budget consists of two important accounts. One is called as revenue budget and another is called as capital budget. So revenue budget means what? From where the government is going to receive the money, and from where the government is going to spend on the revenue aspect. So that is what is called as revenue budget. And capital budget means what? Where the government is going to spend money on capital assets, like creation of the capitals, and from where the government is going to receive the money from those capital, right? Do you remember that I told you that capital means what? Capital is such asset which gives some income, right? So that is why capital budget is like a separate account. So today I'm going to focus more on the revenue budget of the government. So revenue budget means where the government is going to receive the money and where the government is going to spend the money in the revenue budget, right? So revenue receipts. So simple thing, revenue receipts means what? From where the government is going to receive the money, that is what is called as revenue receipts. Or it is the kind of what you can say the incoming aspects of the government budget. Incoming means what? Incoming money means what? Like in simple terms, you can say that government budget has two components. One is that incoming money, another is called as outgoing money. So in incoming money, it is that from where the government is going to, from which sources the government is going to receive the money. That is what is called as revenue receipts. So revenue receipts is again divided into two types, that is tax revenues and non-tax revenues. So I'm going to discuss in detail about the tax revenues today. Fine. So can anybody tell me what is the difference between the tax revenues and non-tax revenues? Anybody knows? What is the difference between the tax revenues and non-tax revenues?
Non-tax revenue may be some earnings through selling yojana or some print media, and tax revenues by GST and income tax, all those things.
Okay, fine. Okay, one more question, that why government levy taxes or why government impose taxes?
Mainly to create equality, levy high taxes on the people who are earning more, and
to provide.
Yes,
Sir,
Monica. Yes, Monica.
to provide public services and other public facilities.
Yes. Okay. So we know that since India is a mixed economy where some of the goods and services are provided by the government, like government provides railways, government provides what you can say the transport system, government also gives what you can say food grain through the PDS, government also gives health assistance through schemes like Ayushman Bharat Yojana, right? Government gives what you can say Mudra loan, right? So for all these purposes, the government needs what you can say, government needs the okay. Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So government needs money for various welfare policies which are carried by the government, right? So that is why we know that government raises some money through taxes, right? So imposing tax is an what you can say the power given to the government through our constitution. Like, so the government has power to impose taxes on virtually on anything, like virtually on anything the government can impose the taxes. Government can impose a tax for example, suppose if you buy some goods and services, then you have to pay the taxes. Then suppose you travel, you have to pay the taxes. You what you can say like if you are taking some services, you have to pay the taxes. Like virtually government can impose taxes on anything. Like suppose if you watch movies, you have to pay the taxes. Like you what you can say, if you buy a what you can say, you buy a mobile phone, you have to pay the taxes. Like you are traveling, you have to pay the taxes. Virtually on anything the government can impose the taxes, right? So like you know that state has the power to impose the taxes, right? There was one king in Germany who has even imposed the taxes for what you can say having beard, right? There was a great king of what you can say Germany who is called as Peter the Great. So he has imposed taxes on those people who used to what you can say grow the beard. So virtually government has an authority to impose taxes on anything. Fine. So non-tax and tax, what is the difference between non-tax and tax, or what you can say tax revenue is that non-tax, it is not a tax, but government has some revenues. So we are going to discuss about in detail. In the next slide, we can see what are the different types of what you can say the tax revenues and non-tax revenues. So tax revenues are again divided into two types, that is called as direct taxes and indirect taxes. So there are two types of taxes which are imposed by the government. So can anybody tell me what is the difference?
Sir, please say again difference between tax and non-tax revenue.
Tax are such things which have been imposed by the government and which has been approved by the parliament, because we know that whatever the tax is being imposed by the government, it has to take an approval in the parliament. So, and non-tax means what? Non-tax revenue is a revenue which is raised by the government through other sources. Like for example, we know that we have public sector undertakings, like government has many companies, like Indian Railways is the best example, right? So whatever the earning earned through Indian Railways or ONGC or Indian Oil or public sector undertakings, even there is one more point called disinvestment that I'm going to discuss in detail. So these are called as non-tax revenues. Non-tax revenues means, like for example, you know that government imposes penalties on various what you can say the violations of the rules. So penalties and earnings of the government through public sector undertakings, then profit from the government companies, profit from the public sector banks, this all comes under the non-tax revenue because it is not a tax. It is the earning of the government. Got a difference between tax and non-tax revenue? Hello?
Even bonds are part of non-tax revenue?
No, it is part of government bonds, means
Bonds.
selling of the government bonds or like buying of the government bonds.
Selling.
Selling of the government
After
bonds
selling,
comes
if
under
you
the
may
capital.
get any profit.
It comes under the what you can say the revenue receipts. If government is what you can say, suppose selling a bond and in return of that it is receiving some money, then obviously it will comes under the receipt. But again, it is a revenue receipts. Got it? It is a liability. Fine.
Okay.
Check it. Going to the
So-
next. Yes.
Government can levy us tax for everything possible on earth,
Yeah.
but why not when Swaran Singh committee suggested for keeping it in the fundamental duties, it was rejected?
What, imposing
Like why?
taxes?
Yeah,
No, paying
it
taxes.
should be the duty of the citizen to pay the tax.
It is a duty of the citizen to pay the tax. So why Swaran Singh committee, which has recommended, and why it was rejected? That is what you are asking, right?
Yeah, so because everything we are paying tax right now, but then why is not the fundamental duty?
No,
for
see, it
everything?
is not duty. Actually, fundamental duties are not enforceable in front of the court, right?
Yeah,
You know
right.
that? But suppose
Yeah.
if it was made a duty, then obviously those people who are not paying the taxes, then the government couldn't have what you can say filed case against them. Now it is not fundamental duty; it is a legal, what you can say, the obligation of the people to pay the tax if the tax is what you can say it is liable to him. Got it? So if a person has to pay the tax, legally he has a liability to paying the tax. Then if he's not paying the tax, then obviously it leads to what you can say, you like government can file case against him, like government can file penalty against him. But if it was a fundamental duty, then obviously since fundamental duties are not enforceable, then it wouldn't have been possible for the government to what I can say file case against those people who are not paying the taxes. Now,
Yes.
paying taxes is legal obligation of the citizens of the country. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Any doubts? Okay, going to the next, like I'm going to in detail about what is the revenue receipts. And so even revenue receipts, we have seen that there are some tax revenues and non-tax revenues. Where we can see the non-tax revenues means what? Interest receipts. Suppose if government has given loan to someone, and if the government is receiving the interest on that loan, which is given by the government, is called as interest receipts. Profits and dividends of the government companies, like government companies, profits and dividends is a part of the non-tax revenues. Then fees and fines, then external grants, like some of the times the government gives what you can say, take some external grants. For example, World Bank and IMF, we know that they gives grants to the government. That also comes under the non-tax revenue, because that revenue is not from the taxes, that revenue is from other sources, and that is why it is called as non-tax revenues. Got it? So even for example, government disinvest some of the what you can say the government companies, that also comes under the what you can say the non-tax revenues. Fine. So disinvestment is again a separate topic. I'm going to discuss in detail about the disinvestment. But before that, first let me discuss about the taxes, and then I'll come to the non-tax revenues in detail. So coming back to the taxes point, there are two types of taxes. One are called as direct taxes and another is called as indirect taxes. So can anybody tell me what is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax?
Direct taxes, indirect taxes and direct taxes, the basic difference is indirect tax, you can shift the liability to someone else. So for example, if you're producing someone and something and someone else buys the product from you, you can impose the tax on the person buying that product from you. In direct taxes, you have to pay, like you can't shift the liability to say a third person.
Okay, that is
Incidence of taxation cannot be changed.
Yeah, so that is
Taxation
actually
cannot
the
be
feature of the direct and indirect tax. So I'm saying a simple, what you can say, the difference between direct tax and indirect tax. Yes, someone is saying something.
So direct tax.
Incidence of taxation cannot be changed in a direct tax, whereas an incidence of taxation on the person that is imposed can be changed in an indirect tax.
In simple terms,
Yes.
In simple
See,
terms,
one thing you need to
direct
remember,
tax.
yeah, 1 second, Surendra, before you can say continue. One thing you need to remember is that you don't go for like too complicated, what you can say the terminologies, or too complicated what its explanation. Simple, it's better to what you can say always have what you can say simple, what you can say the understanding of the economic concept, not only economic, in all subjects. Yes, Surendra, continue.
So,
In
can I?
simple terms, in simple terms, direct taxes are those which are paid by the people who earn, and indirect taxes are those people who earn actually on them, they not pay the tax. The other people pay the tax on their behalf. For
So, can
example,
I try?
consumer goods.
Okay, first, yes, Khushi.
Consumer paid the tax, not the
Okay,
actual.
fine. I understood, Surendra. Yes.
So, in some simple terms,
I guess I lost her voice. Yes, Raunak, you are saying something. Hello.
am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes. Now you're audible.
So, should I repeat it?
Yes, yes, yes. We couldn't hear you.
Direct taxes were those taxes on direct tax are that tax which are paid by the person on which it is imposed. For example, income tax, property tax.
Right.
Indirect tax are those taxes which are shifted, which are not directly paid by that person. For example, service tax or the GST tax.
Okay, fine, good. So, what is difference between direct tax and
can I
indirect tax? Yes, Raunak. Yes, Raunak.
So direct taxes are imposed on the on individuals' wealth or property, and indirect taxes are imposed on goods and services.
Goods and services provided to them. Okay.
Sir, indirect tax also. Sir,
Sorry.
indirect tax also fixed for same for everyone.
Okay.
But the direct tax are it
Progressive.
can vary. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. So again, coming back. So what is difference between direct tax and indirect tax? Direct taxes are those which are paid by the person who is being taxed. Right. So those who has a liability of paying the tax, that person directly paid to the government. Like for example, suppose examples of the direct taxes like income tax, corporate tax, then capital gain tax. There are various types of what you can say the direct taxes. Like for example, I am supposed to pay a direct, like suppose my income is around 10 lakh rupees. And we know that as per the previous year government budget, up to 5 lakh rupees income tax is not what you can say that is not an taxable income, but above 5 lakh, for example, above 5 lakh, that is around 5 lakh rupees, income is taxable for me. And suppose if government decides that you have to pay 6% income tax, so I have to pay the 6% for that 5 lakh rupees. So in this thing, what is happening that I'm paying tax directly to the government, like I'm paying tax directly to the government, and I can see the direct taxes which I am supposed to pay. I paid once in a year, like income tax is paid once in a year, right? Similarly, corporate tax is a tax of the income of the company. Like income tax is a tax on the income of individual, not individual income, while the corporate tax is the income of a corporation or a company. So that is also directly being paid by a company to the government, and that is why it is called as direct tax. Now, what is indirect tax? As someone has said, like for example, earlier, now we have only GST, but earlier there used to be various types of what you can say the taxes. So let me share the screen with you so you can see that earlier there used to be various taxes like sales taxes, custom duty. Custom duty means import and export duty. Then excise duty. Excise means tax on the production, tax on what you can say the service. Like suppose if you are taking a service from someone, then you have to pay the taxes. Then entertainment tax. Suppose if you go to watch a movie, then you have to pay entertainment tax. So what is happening there, that in the indirect taxes, you are not directly paying the tax. For example, suppose if you go and watch a movie, then suppose the price of a ticket of a movie is 200 rupees. And suppose if the income tax is around what you can say the 5%, then you have to pay what you can say 10 rupees as an entertainment tax. So what you do, like when you buy a ticket, you are paying 210 rupees. So you are paying 210 rupees. Actually, the price of the movie ticket is 200, but you are 10 rupees you are paying as entertainment tax. So that 10 rupees is being paid by the theater owner to the government as an entertainment tax. So here what is happening? Actually, the tax is being paid by you, but you are not directly paying it to the government. You are paying it to the theater owner or the cinema hall, and the cinema hall is paying it to the government. For example, sales tax. Sales tax is also what is happening. That suppose if you are buying some goods, then you have to pay a sales tax. So for example, suppose if you are buying a mobile phone, the price of mobile phone is 5,000 rupees. If the sales tax is 25%, then you have to pay 25% of the sales tax. So 25% of the 5,000, it becomes 1,250. So what you do, that actual price of the mobile phone is 5,000, then 1,250 rupees is a tax. So you are paying 6,250 rupees to the shop owner who is selling a mobile phone. So what is happening there, that the mobile phone shop owner is paying the tax to the government. Here you are not directly paying tax to the government, and that is why it is called as indirect tax. So got it? All those taxes which you are paying indirectly, they are called as indirect taxes, and all those taxes which you are paying directly to the government, they are called as direct taxes. Example, income tax is the best example of the direct tax. Corporate tax means the tax which is imposed or levied on the income of a company. That is what is called as corporate tax. Wealth tax means what? For example, suppose if you have a wealth, like here what is happening, see that as I told, that government can impose a tax virtual and anything. Like if you are earning money, pay the tax. If you are earning money by establishing a company, you have to pay the tax. You have wealth, you have to pay the tax. You are gifting someone, you have to pay a gift tax. That if you are, what you can say, have estate, then you have to pay the tax. Then if you are spending some money, then also you have to, what you can say, pay the tax, right? So here in all these taxes you pay directly to the government, and that is why these are called as direct taxes. So there is one best example of the direct tax, that is called as capital gain tax. Anyone knows what is the meaning of capital gain tax?
So any investment that the government makes, the returns from that investment, say for example, if any
government or for individual? Investment of the government or investment of the individual?
Of the government, like capital gains tax would be like investment of the government returns from the investment, right? Or am I wrong?
So
no, sir. Any profit.
For example, if I have property.
See, you are getting it confused. See, if government is investing, then government is earning. Then do you think government pays tax to itself? Yeah, just Surendra. Continue. What is capital gain tax?
Yeah, basically, for example, just in a simple terms, for example, if I have a property, I bought a property in rupees, for example, 1 crore.
Okay.
And after some time, I sell that property in 2 crores. So 1 crore is a capital gain for me at that.
1 crore is a capital gain. Fine.
So on that I have to pay tax.
Fine. Okay, no problem. So he has explained me very well. Good. So Surendra, you have a capacity to buy a property in 1 crore rupees. I normally give an example, like suppose if I have bought what you can say, a house at 10 lakh rupees in 2010, and suppose if the value of that property becomes 1 crore rupees in 2020, means after 10 years gap, I have bought the house in 2010 at 10 lakh rupees, but in 2020 the value of the property becomes, what you can say, 1 crore rupees. So when I sell that property to someone, so what is the capital gain for me? Because my capital investment in 2010 was 10 lakh rupees, but in 2010 when I'm selling that house to someone else or that property to someone else, so I'm selling it in 1 crore rupees. So here what is my capital gain? Are you getting my question? Am I audible to all of you? Hello? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. See, I have bought a house in 2010 at rupees, what you can say, 10 lakh. And after, what you can say, 10 years, I'm selling that house at the rupees 1 crore rupees. So that 90 lakh rupee is my capital gain. So since I have gained, what you can say, the capital, I have to pay some tax to the government. And that is what is called as capital gain tax, right? For example, suppose if government decides that the capital gain tax should be around 6% of the total capital gain, then I have to pay 6% of the 90 lakh rupees which I have, what you can say, gain. So capital gain can be like anything. For example, suppose there was one question in 2017 prelims exam that which among the following leads to capital gain. So the question was that which among the following leads to capital gain. So first option was that increase in my income due to increase in sale. So is it capital gain? Got it? So basic question was income increase in my profit due to increase in sale of my product. Is it a capital gain? Okay. Second option, increase in painting of my, suppose I have bought a painting, the value of the painting increased after 10 years. So is it a capital gain?
Yes,
sir.
Suppose if I have bought a, what you can say, painting of MF Hussain of like in 15,000 rupees in 2010, and in 2020 I want to sell it. and someone is buying that painting of MF Hussain in what you can say like 5 lakh rupees, then is it a capital gain for me?
Yes, sir.
Right? So
Yes,
if
sir.
you know the basic things, then you will be able to find out the answer of this what you can say question. Now, why capital gain tax question was asked in 2015? Because in 2015 there was a controversy going on between Vodafone and government regarding the capital gain, which was what you can say capital gain, which was what you can say accrued on the Hutchison SR. Because of the transaction which has carried between the Vodafone and Hutchison SR, right? So do you know, before Vodafone came in India, the company was run by another company that is called as Hutch, right? So Hutch, before Hutch, it was what you can say owned by BPL. So the first private mobile company in India is BPL. All of you know, the first private company in India was BPL. So BPL has started its mobile, what you can say, private mobile company in 2000. And after 10 years, they have sold these, what you can say, the company to Hutch. So BPL has started with a initial investment of around 5,000 crore. I'm just giving an example. I don't know exact figure, but I'm just giving an example. So in 2000, BPL has started its operation, mobile company operation in 2,000 crore rupees, the initial investment, but they have sold this company to Hutch at 20,000 crore rupees. So what is the capital gain for the BPL in this case? Its initial investment was 2,000 crore. Now it has sold this company in 20,000 crore. So what is the capital gain for BPL here?
18,000.
18,000. Then again Hutch sold this company to the Vodafone SR at 1 lakh crore, which it has bought it in 20,000 crore rupees from BPL, but it has sold it to we can say Vodafone at 1 lakh crore rupees. So what is the capital gain for Hutch here? Hutchison SR, which is a company, which is the name of Hutchison SR.
8,000 crore.
It is 80,000 crore. So 80,000 crore is a capital gain for the Hutch, and Hutch is supposed to pay that capital gain tax to the government. So now what, because we know that the people have a lot of what you can say the ways how to evade the taxes. I'm going to discuss about the tax evasion also. So rather than what is going to the details of the other parts of the government budget, I'm going to focus more on the taxation system now, because we are discussing about the taxes. So what has happened here, that what BPL has done, sorry, what Hutch has done, rather than what you can say giving this capital gain tax to the government, they have made this agreement in what you can say the Cayman Islands. They have made this what you can say the purchasing agreement in Cayman Islands rather than making it in India. So because of this, what has happened, when the agreement, Adesh, can you please mute yourself? Okay. So what has happened here in this Hutchison and Vodafone SR case, that the purchasing of the shares of the Hutch, that has happened in Cayman Islands, which is again what you can say the tax haven, which I've already discussed. So there is an agreement between India and Cayman Islands, and that agreement is called as Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement, which is called as DTAA. So I have already discussed about it. Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement means what? Suppose if there is a tax which is already paid in Cayman Islands for some economic activities, the same company should not pay the tax in India. So agreement has happened between India and Cayman Islands that if the tax is already paid in Cayman Islands, then that company need not to pay the tax in India. So this, what you can say, this deal between the Hutch and Vodafone has happened in Cayman Islands, and in Cayman Islands there is no capital gain tax. There is 0% capital gain tax. Then that is why the Vodafone has not paid any capital gain tax either in Cayman Islands, and it has not paid in India. So since this controversy was going on, because Indian government was saying that the Vodafone is supposed to pay the tax in India, while the Vodafone was saying that since we have what you can say made this deal, since we have made this what you can say the purchasing agreement in what you can say in the Cayman Island, we are not supposed to pay the tax. So that is why this controversy was going on. That is why the capital gain tax was used and the question was asked. Lakshmi, can you please mute?
Please mute. We cannot really hear.
Sir, mute everyone, sir.
Even if I mute everyone, once new what you can say the student joins, then they have to mute themselves. I can't mute to everyone even before they join the class. Anyway, so got it. What was the controversy of the capital gain tax? Why the question was asked in 2015? Because the issue was going on between government and Vodafone, Vodafone was not ready to pay the capital gain tax, while the government was, what you can say, asking for the government Vodafone to pay the capital gain tax. So UPSC has asked a very simple question in that year, that is, which among the following leads to capital gain, or which among the following leads to, what you can say, the capital, what you can say, which among the following may lead to imposing of the capital gain tax. So got it? So even capital gain tax is also a type of direct tax which they have to pay directly. So what you need to see here, first things you need to choose what is capital gain tax and what is double taxation avoidance agreement, which is called as DTAA. Right? So if there is a such type of agreement between two countries, then there cannot be what you can say, imposition of taxes twice, both in both the country. Suppose if the tax is paid in Cayman Islands, then the company is not supposed to pay the tax in India. And suppose if that company has paid the tax in India, they are not supposed to pay the taxes in, what you can say, the Cayman Islands. So India has made many such agreement with many such countries like Cayman Islands, Singapore, then what you can say, Seychelles, which is there in India, then Panama is one such country where we have an agreement called double taxation avoidance agreement. Got it? So direct taxes are those taxes which are directly paid by the people. Right? Though the people means the person who is being liable to pay the tax. Got it? Now coming to the next important point, I have 5 minutes. I will discuss this thing and then we will stop. So now in India, we have a progressive type of taxation system. Progressive type of taxation system means what? Now suppose as the income increases, you have to pay the more taxes, whether it is related to the corporate tax or whether it is related to the income tax. As your income increases, you have to pay the more tax. Such type of taxation system is called as progressive type of taxation system. Now, what do you think? This is good or bad? Shall government impose more taxes to those people who have high income?
Yes, sir. It's
Good, sir.
It is good. Why? Why it is good?
Because government have to provide subsidies to the poor people.
Okay.
For their upliftment.
Okay, fine. Anything else? Why the progressive type of taxation system is good?
Because the purpose of the government should be the equality amongst the people. Mm-hmm. So the government should tax more the people who are earning more and distribute or do the works related to the people who are not earning or who are earning less or who are not earning.
But don't you think that such type of taxes is a kind of punishment to those people who are like working hard? Because if someone is earning more, it means that he is working hard, that he is contributing more to the GDP. Right? We have seen that the GDP calculation is also calculated by the income, what you can say, the method, like the subtotal of all the incomes of the people is also calculated while, what you can say, calculating the GDP. Right? Suppose if someone is earning more, then if he has to pay more tax, is it not like a punishment to those people who are working hard?
But not necessarily.
But in the country.
So,
I will give an example. I will give an example. Suppose now those people who are earning below 5 lakh, they are not supposed to pay the tax. But again, suppose if the people is earning between 5 lakh and 10 lakh, I'm just giving an example. It again varies varies every year. If government decides that up to what amount the income tax should not be levied and up to what amount, what should be the percentage of the income tax, that government decides in the budget. But I'm just giving an example. As per the previous budget, those people who were earning up to 5 lakh, they are not supposed to pay the tax. But suppose if a person is earning earning 10 lakh rupees, he has to pay the tax for 10 lakh rupees because he's earning 10 lakh rupees. That is 6%. Suppose if a person is earning more than 10 lakh rupees, then he has to pay, what you can say, 15% of tax. If a person is earning more than 1 crore, he has to pay 50% of the tax. Like for example, suppose if a person is earning 1 crore, out of 1 crore, he has to pay 50% of the tax, like 50 lakh rupees, he has to pay as the income tax to the government. So don't you think it is a bad idea to impose high taxes to those people who are earning more? Don't you think that they are working hard, they are, what you can say, contributing more to the economy, and we should not pay taxes to them?
Not necessarily true,
because for earning more, you have utilized the resources of the country more. Mm-hmm. So if we levy the same taxes over everyone, so it's not fair, because the people who are earning more, like Ambani or like someone others, these are corporate relations. For example,
Check it.
who the people who
Okay,
are
fine.
earning more,
Fine, I
that
got your
person
point.
is utilizing
I
more
got your
resources.
point, Surendra. One more thing. Don't you think that one second? Don't you think that it is a kind of what you can say encouragement to those people who are lazy? Like if you go to the developed countries, there is a regressive type of taxation. You know what is regressive type of taxation? Those who earns less, they are imposed more taxes, and those who earns more, they are imposed less taxes. So what do you think? What people will do then? They will try to earn more, or they will try to earn less if the less taxes is imposed.
But sir, in our country, the opportunities are not
Equally.
for all.
As a population,
And also in preamble of the country, in the constitution we have mentioned India is a socialist secular country. So socialist is the term, because we to make the equal distribution, take from the higher earning people and distribute among the lower earning or lower earning people.
Also, not all high income jobs add value to the economy equally. Say, for example, a stockbroker who earns extremely high amount of money doesn't contribute to the economy, say, for example, the same way a construction worker would. So in that way, the progressive taxation also plays a role in preventing income accumulation through other unproductive means.
Okay, fine. So, but
Sir,
yeah.
according to the constitution, equality among equals are showed from our government.
Right. So why India has a progressive type of taxation system? Because we know that India is basically an unequal society, right? That is why, like, if you want to impose what you can say the equal universal tax or regressive tax, then there should be what you can say the equal society. Like in America, everyone has got an equal opportunity, and everyone has an equal access to the information as well as what you can say the resources. But in India, that is not the case. That is why we are imposing what we can say the progressive type of taxes. But again, ideally, we should not. We should have what we can say the universal taxation. We should have what we can say the regressive taxation system. But anyways, but this is one of the important reason that why we have high amount of black money in India. Do you know what is black money?
Unauthorized money.
Unauthorized means, is it a illegal
And
money?
Untaxed money, sir.
Extra money on which tax is not paid.
One second. When I'm talking about the black money, everyone is coming because it's a very interesting topic, right?
Tax free money.
Okay, one second. One by one. Yes, Monica said it is an unauthorized money. Unauthorized means, do you think the money which a person is having is a illegal money?
yes, sir, because it is unaccountable.
So that illegal means that money is illegal, or the way of earning is illegal?
The way it has been accounted in one's account is illegal. Not the money is illegal. The currency is not illegal.
Check it. Anything else? Okay, you mean to say
Sir,
that?
untaxed-
One second, Ramjit. One second.
Paying the tax.
One second. So if someone is earning money illegally means what? The way which is not supposed to earn that money, then that is what is called as corrupt black money, right? For example, suppose if there is a government officer, his salary is around 50,000 rupees. So his total income becomes around what you can say 6 lakh rupees per month, right? Sorry, per annum. Suppose if he has earned money by what you can say in corrupt way, let's say if he has earned around 10 lakh rupees by corrupt way and 6 lakh rupees by what you can say by the salary which he's getting. So can he go to the government and say that I have earned 16 lakh rupees in this 1 year and I am ready to pay the income tax? That person will be easily ready to go and pay the income tax for whatever he has earned for the what you can say for the corrupt way. But what will happen then?
Then government will try to find the source of that money.
Yes, whenever you are paying the tax, income tax, we have to tell that from where you have earned that money, what is your income source. And if he says that I've earned this money from corrupt practices, then obviously as per the anti-corruption laws, he will be again sent into the jail. So this is the one reason that the government do not pay the taxes. So black money means what? That money on which the tax is not paid. Simple thing.
Yeah.
But tax means what? The money which people have on which they have not paid the taxes. Black money doesn't mean the color of the money is black. Like it is also called as tainted money. No, black money is also called as tainted money. Tainted money means what? It doesn't mean that there are some what you can say the dhabba on the money. It is not like that. black money means the money on which the tax is not being paid. So there are various reasons why people do not pay the tax. One reason that if that money is earned in a corrupt way, people do not pay the tax because they can't show to the government that I have earned this money in a corrupt way. Right? Is this the only way that people avoid paying taxes, which is called as tax evasion? Like next important topic is called as tax evasion. Right? So what are the other reasons why the government, why the people evade paying taxes?
More documentation process.
Okay, so you mean to say
Because
that paying taxes
nowadays,
complex process of paying the tax, right?
complex. Yeah, because nowadays we got these online platform
Yes.
to use
Fine.
this, but for a few years, this.
Fine. So one more reason why people evade taxes. One thing is that they cannot show it to the government their income. Second reason, high tax rate. Now, whenever there is high tax rate, people avoid paying taxes. Got it? Suppose if you ask to the people that out of 1 crore rupees we have earned, you have to pay 50 lakh rupees to the government as a tax. Will you pay that?
No.
Right. So people avoid paying taxes when there is very high when there is high tax. Second reason, when there is the process of filing the tax is complex, then people avoid what you can say that complexity and they don't pay the tax. And that is what you can say the role of the government to make the reforms in the taxation system. Got it? So two reasons why people avoid pay taxes. One reason is high tax rate, and second is called as the complex process of paying the taxes. And that is the reason the government has made many reforms in the taxation system. One in the direct taxes as well as in the indirect taxes. That is in the indirect taxes, the tax reform is called as GST. Before GST, it was VAT. And in the direct taxes, that reform is called as direct taxes code. So in my separate session, I'm going to discuss in detail about the VAT and GST, why there was a need of VAT and why there was a need of GST, and what would be the consequences of the GST that we will discuss. So got it? So the reforms in the indirect taxes is called as GST and VAT, and the reforms in the direct taxes is called as a direct taxes code. So you got a reason why people do not want to consider pay tax. One reason, that is high tax rate, and another is called as the complex process of paying the taxes. So is the responsibility.
Sir, one of the
it is the responsibility of the government to make the tax paying process easy, and again that to make the tax rate at such a what you can say the level so that everybody could afford to pay the tax. So rather than increasing the tax, government should increase the tax net. So can anybody tell me what is increase in the tax net? We have exceeded the time.
More number of people comes into the tax area.
Tax net. So it happens when government reduces the tax and when the government makes easy process of paying the tax. ज्यादा मछलियों को पकड़ना है, right? नेट मतलब क्या, जाली होती है, उस जाली में like ज्यादा मछली पकड़ना, मतलब it's not like कि if government tries to what we can say catch a large fish, then what will happen then? वो जाली फट जाएगी, तो वो लोग पे करना ही छोड़ देंगे फिर टैक्स. Right? If you impose more tax, then obviously people will evade the taxes. Right? Rather than increasing the tax rate, what government should do? Government should reduce the tax rate. Government should make the tax paying process easy so that more people can pay the tax. And when more people can pay the more tax, then obviously what will happen? Then more tax collection will be there. Got it? In widening the tax net, what you got? You understood the meaning of what is the meaning of widening the tax net? Widening the tax net means making the tax paying process easy, and what you can say reducing the tax so that there can be optimum collection of the taxes. Fine? Any doubts about it?
Yes,
Sir, kindly repeat the reform under the direct tax.
The direct taxes reforms is called as direct taxes code. And indirect tax reforms, earlier it was VAT, and then recent reforms in the indirect taxes is called as GST. So I'm going to discuss in detail about what is VAT, what is GST, what are indirect taxes in detail in my next session. So any doubts about the direct tax? So you got the difference between direct tax and indirect tax, and the examples of the direct tax, and why they are called as direct tax, because these taxes are directly being paid by the person who is being paying tax. And India now, we have a progressive type of taxation system in the direct tax. Fine. So progressive type of taxation system is understood. What is the meaning of that progressive type of taxation system? As the income increases, the tax rate also increases. So there is one disadvantage of it. Why? Because people may evade the taxes if there is more tax. Got the point?
Yes, sir.
Check it. Shall we stop? So tomorrow in next session, I will be discussing about the indirect taxes and the reforms in the indirect taxes. Shall I go in this way? Is it okay for you? Like along with government budget, I will also discuss the taxation system, and we will also discuss the current issues related to the taxation system. So you can understand in a holistic way.
Yes,
The whole
sir, yes.
system, the whole government budget as well as the other aspects of the government budget. Fine?
Yes.
Okay. Shall we? So we'll stop here now. Maybe Monday we'll discuss about the indirect taxes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
Thank you, sir.